And welcome to tonight's presentation. For all of you who made the time um, to um, to stay with us tonight, we thank you very much. And I think it's time for us to get on with this and have a look at a little bit of attendance tonight and a little bit of safeguarding. And hopefully, the information we'll share with you tonight will be helpful for you, for your child, and any information that you still afterwards need, please feel free to contact the school on that. Um, First of all, I'm going to look at attendance, and I've got someone here called Simon, year seven, and he's got a 90% attendance. So the questions we are asking tonight is that good? And what does that mean, a 90% attendance? So Simon thinks this is pretty good. So do his parents. And the question I'm asking is, are they right? So 90% attendance is equal to a half day missed every week. Now, I'm just thinking of us in the workplace who are working. Would our bosses like the fact that we are absent for half a day every week? Would that be okay with them? And I suppose that's the question that we need to ask. Even though they are at school, we need to make sure that students understand that us in our workplace can't just take half a day off. And so we instill into them that resilience that they can't do that either. If we look a little bit closer and delve into this matter, if I look at a whole school year and your attendance was 90% over the school year, as is Simon's attendance currently, it will mean he misses 4 whole school weeks of lessons throughout the year. So you miss 4 whole school weeks. Now, I can assure you that there is a number of lessons that you miss. There's maybe the start of a topic that you miss. There are important concepts that might have been taught during that time that he's absent. And so it is quite important that we do recognize that 90% looks like a big number. 90% looks like a lovely number, actually. But in terms of attendance, it is already a very tricky issue for all students who are off sick for that amount of time. I've put this in my next slide. I've looked at attendance over 5 years of secondary school. So if you had 90% attendance, over the 5 years, 90% every year, you will have missed half a school year. Now, if you think about within a year, you might have missed, 4 and a bit weeks, but over the 5 year period, we're now looking at you missing half a year of school. And that is quite a lot. And suddenly it starts stacking up. So research have suggested that 17 missed school days a year is equivalent to a GCSE grade drop in achievement. So let's say you are predicted at level 7. It looks like the statistics, and I can tell you from years of experience and from looking at all the statistics year on year that this is true. Now, 17 missed days school also puts you into the category of a persistent absence student. So anything 90% and lower is persistent absence. So the greater the attendance, the greater the achievement. I thought I'd show you on the next table. So this is percentage attendance weekly. So if you are 90% in a week, you're half a day off. And if your attendance is 80% for the week, it means you've taken 1 day off in the week. Now, we all know that there's 5 days in a week, so every day counts 20%. So taking 1 day off means you drop to 80%. Now, that is quite, alarming that we are having students that are week in and week out taking a day off school or half a day off school. And this is the whole picture that I like us to look at. So if I take off 90, well, if my attendance is 90%, it means yearly it's 4 weeks. If it's 80%, it obviously means 8 weeks off in a year. 70%, it's 12 weeks off in a year. 60% and so on. So by 50%, it means you are already 20 weeks off school. You must half the school year. And so on and so forth. So what I'm looking at here now is the cumulative percentage throughout until year 11. So if you have a 90% attendance every year, year on year, by year 11, this is what is going to happen. You will have missed 2.5 years of school if you've only attended 50%. Now, that's an easy one to work out. But if your attendance is 90% at the top, like Simon's are, then you actually have missed 1.5 term. It's like you haven't been in school for a whole of autumn and half of spring. And the amount of work that you've missed during that time is immense. Okay, I know it's cumulative throughout the 5 years, but missing a few weeks every year, a few weeks here and a few weeks there, is in the end, it adds up. And obviously they miss some vital and important teaching and topics, and there appears to be a few gaps in their learning. A few gaps that are difficult to catch up eventually, just because of their absence rate. Now, potentially, we're looking at some earnings, but what I am saying, students with lower or no qualifications have a little bit of a problem in terms of looking at options. Their options are a little bit reduced. What we like to do here is give students lots of options by the time they finish GCSE, whether they can go to colleges or sixth forms, or they can get apprenticeships or in-work training or anything like that. We want to make sure that all students have the best chance to actually have the best choices out there for their future. And pupils leaving with at least 5 level 7 grades of GCSE over a lifetime will earn £350,000 more than those not leaving with that. And that's one of those statistics that are staggering when you think about that. Now, I want to tell you about the emotionally based school avoidance. Now, that is one of the terms that they've been using over the past few years, and that all staff now have been trained on, and that is becoming quite a big part of the attendance drive in schools. Now, if I look at that, students with the following characteristics and circumstances are known to be at a higher risk of EBSA. We call emotionally based school avoidance. In short, we call it EBSA. Now, a child or a young person, if I look at the red one, a child or a young person experiencing bullying, obviously, that is very emotional to those students. A child or young person who are socially isolated, they're a little bit of a loner. Some students are young carers and have so much responsibilities and need to go home or have to look after things and people at home. Obviously, if you have siblings with a history of low attendance, we all know that older brothers and sisters, they tend to set the tone And if the example is not a good example, then it seems the rest think they can get away with it. Obviously, history of mental health difficulties, neurodevelopment issues, previous episodes of school avoidance, and obviously parental mental health issues. All these things are emotionally based school avoidance characteristics and circumstances. And that is what us as a school are looking out for. But not only just that. We are also looking out for the following things that are that early indicator that a student might become a school avoider. They are persistent late. Now, this is one of my bugbears, is students coming late. I'm sure we all have a clock. I'm sure we can all get up at the right time. And again, I want to ask you, if you are late at your work every day, or if you come 15, 20 minutes late to your work, I'm sure at some point, your boss might just call you in and ask you a few questions and the reasons for the tardiness. Something like unexplained absences. Students suddenly staying at home for a sniffle here or a sniffle there. Missing more than 2 days in the first week of a new term. It is absolutely staggering that first 2 days after a holiday, we all know that it is really tough to get back into school, and it's really hard to get the motivation to get up and go to school again. And as adults, we find that hard. But I can promise you that if we don't do that, if we aren't resilient in that, then things might slide, because the next week the students will wake up again and say, oh, maybe this week just I want one more day off. And it's important that the cycle is broken immediately. Your holiday was your holiday. That was all fun and lovely. Now school is school. It can be fun also. We need to get to school, and as soon as they get into the habit of that, they will get used to what the school is offering them, and they will enjoy that. We're looking out for anxieties about coming to school. Parent expressing difficulties getting a child into school. There's a number of parents that would walk their students to school, would bring them in the car to school, would wait outside the gate until most people are in and then bring their students in. All these things are things we can help and put in place to get students into school. Separation anxiety. That is usually with our little ones. When year sevens come to school, they're so used to at primary school, mum or dad or someone meeting them at the gate or walking them home or always there for them. So they find it fairly difficult to separate from mum and dad. And I have to say, sometimes mum and dad finds it difficult to separate from their kids who are growing up and are now in the big school. Sometimes students come asking to go home, stay at home more often than usual. Parents write a little note, so they've got to go away for this, or this has happened, and so we want them to be at home. And suddenly there's a few more of these requests, and obviously then the alarms start going off. Students stopping extracurricular activities. They don't go to clubs, enjoy everything that we offer at school, meeting their friends and having a good time, the sense of belonging at school, and they start withdrawing from that. That's also one of those worried signs. Students being tearful or irritability, and a pattern of absence, suggestion of difficulties with specific lessons. And I know that we don't like all the lessons that we are taught. We probably don't even like all the teachers that teaches us. But within all of that, that's not the reason for us to stay off school. It's one of those things where we teach students to be confident, to be resilient, to push through, to make the best of their decisions, and to look long term at what the future might hold for them. So here we are looking at students that have some triggers, and as a parent, I'd like you really to have a look at these triggers and see if there's a few of these triggers that you can recognize in your children, or not yet, but when they do come up, please make sure that you know what the triggers are and that we deal with those triggers as soon as we can. Returning to school after long periods of absence. Students might feel still a little bit frail. Exams, assessments. There is certain times of the year where there are a lot of pressures for these students. Assessments and exams are one of those things. And some students try and avoid it like the plague. They really do not want to come to these exams. But as a parent, we all know how important those assessments are. You can have a look through all of these things. We're having a look at the transport journeys to and from school. Please make sure they get on the bus early enough, on the tram or the train early enough so they can get to school on time. We know there are sometimes changes in families, separations might happen, family routines might be thrown out of whack a little bit because suddenly maybe parent go back to work. There's no one at home to look after them in the morning. Let's say the student can leave at 8 and the parents leave at 10 to 8. Sometimes those students get into a habit of staying in and not wanting to come to school. So there's a number of triggers here that tends to happen for a student to become an emotionally based school avoider. So as a parent, please have a look out for these things and come and talk to us so that we can stop this as quick as possible. Why is belonging important? And that's the importance of this all. School engagement, participation and attendance is associated with a sense of belonging. Specific elements of belonging are important to focus on. Students want to belong. And if you feel you belong, then of course it is not so bad to go to that place. And I'd like parents to make sure that we encourage students to feel that they need to make the best of their school years. Join the clubs at school. We have so many clubs. Participate in all the activities that the school have for you. Feel that belonging and friendship circles. And this emotionally based school avoidance will be less. I know students do fall out with friendships. We know that. And sometimes it's tough. The NHS have started this campaign where they call Moments Matter, Attendance Counts. And so what they've done is they've put a few pictures up there of students. This morning I had a runny nose, but look at him now. This morning he's worried about school. Look at him now. And whether it's a primary school kid or a secondary school kid, sometimes when you have the sniffles, you are a bit poorly, you tend to say, oh, maybe I should stay at home. Please don't. Come to school. You will feel better throughout the day. And you know what? If you don't feel better later on in the day, or if you really can't go on throughout late on in the day, please go to our medical room. We have staff there to help and support. This morning, she was worried about the school, but look at her now. This morning, he had a stomachache. but look at him now. So when we look at all these things, sometimes it's just that temporary thing where you need to just get over that emotionally based feelings and actually just try and get into school. So back to old Simon. So 90% is not as good as first seemed. So what I'm asking is, what can I do as a parent to increase my child's attendance? Find out regularly what your child's attendance and absences are. Look at his record. Talk with your child about school and how they feel about it. More likely to attend if they feel supported and anxiety is listened to. And that is not just at home, at school, but that's at home also. Phone us as soon as possible to tell us why someone is absent. It's very important. Put the school number into your phone so that you can phone quickly, but also please let us know a reason. Parents just don't phone up, and obviously that goes under unauthorized absences. This is a difficult one. Only grant days at home for genuine illnesses. And I want to tell parents this is such a dangerous road to go down if you start giving in for the odd day here and the odd day there, and suddenly the odd days become more regular days. Sometimes parents phone in to cover for their students, you know. They say, oh no, they've got a little stomach bug or some sniffles. And obviously we're going to take the word of the parent for that. But you will know as a parent whether it's really genuine. Avoid taking holidays in school time. I can't even begin to tell you how important that is. Just avoid them. We do not ask any parent, and we don't give permission to anyone taking holidays during school time. No routines of the school day. So get your PE kit ready the night before. Make sure it's all washed. Make sure they have the uniform. Make sure the uniform is neat. Make sure they are prepared for their day. Don't run around in the morning trying to figure out where's this or that. Ring us. Let us know if there are something that we could just maybe check up quickly, just to make sure that they are cared for. We at school do praise and do reward our students for good attendance. We have certificates that we give them. We also have some vouchers that we hand out. We have hot chocolate mornings. We have all kinds of competitions for them. But it's important that they come in and they feel that they can contribute to the day. If there's a problem with your child's attendance, talk calmly to your child, listen to them, listen to the explanation. All these things are important reasons to pursue a non-attender. And try and resolve the issues. If you can't resolve it alone, get into contact with us. But let's try and resolve these issues. We need to talk to it. We need to talk to the students, and we need to get to the bottom of it as soon as we possibly can. Obviously, look out for tests and deadlines. Check in their planners. Help them catch up with missed work. If they were off for a day, make sure they know what they did during that day. Go and ask their teachers what work they must, so they can catch up on that. And praise good attendance. Being at school 100% or a whole term takes good effort and resilience. Make something of it. Take them out for some meal, or go away as a family, or just celebrate all the good things there are for when they do attend so regularly at school, because it will help their grades also. If the school can improve attendance, there will be a 5 or 6% improvement in attainment, but help us and your child by ensuring their attendance remains above 95%. And it's about their potential also. They will achieve so much more. And lastly, on the attendance side, is punctuality. One of my things that I just don't like students being late. I mean, if I have these pictures up that you see in front of you, getting to the airport late, you'll miss your flight, you'll miss your train, you'll miss your doctor's appointments or interviews. It's the same for school. Don't be late. It is important to be on time. Why is it important? It brings so much to you as a child, as a student growing up. I will show you here. It helps in your self-confidence because you are a dependable person. It boosts a student's self-confidence, evokes the feeling of performing well in all aspects. It helps you in your strength of character. A punctual child integrates a strength of character that turns him into a robust personality. A student that are on time, that are punctual, they are seen as highly responsible and a reliable individual. They've proven time and again that they are more cultured and civilized than the students who are casual about giving an importance to time and management. And they have an integrity. This shows your respect towards the other person and portrays you as a person of integrity. And this is all just by being on time, being where you're supposed to be, and it builds so much character. So that was the part of our attendance. We're going to look at some safeguarding now in school. Now, when we look at safeguarding in school, these are three people that you really do need to note. We have our designated safeguarding lead on the left, and this is Mrs. Edwards. And then we also have our two deputy safeguarding leads. The first one is Mrs. Shepherd and Miss Blenkinsop. They will be here to help you throughout the day. If you have anything really pressing or really important that you need to discuss, they will be available at all times at some point during the day if you need some support. But they are not the only ones. We have a big child protection team. And I want to encourage all parents to have a look at their faculty coordinators first. Their faculty coordinators are the ones who deal with each faculty. We have Mr. Du, who's in charge of the yellow faculty. We have the red faculty, Ms. Alicock. The green faculty is Ms. Kagwa. And then the blue faculties have two that are shared between Ms. Kidwai and Mrs. Snell. So these people are there for the students that if they feel a little bit down, if they feel they need to share something, this is their first port of call also to help and support with. They obviously have their tutors in the morning, or any adult for that matter who is on site, whether that is one of our site staff, whether that's the admin staff. We are all trained in safeguarding. We are all trained to help and support students and to direct them to where they can find help and the support if needed. Now, we have a safeguarding statement, and it's all about securing and caring. And I'm hoping that the students will, throughout the years, they will feel that we really do care for them and we really do want the best for each of these students. And in that third paragraph, we will look hard to reduce all kinds of harm that children can suffer. And that includes things like abuse, bullying, discrimination, injuries, any kind of thing that has an impact on their safety and their welfare. We, as a school, are really working hard, training all our staff, making sure everyone is up to standard with even the latest information and trends so that we can support you. And at the bottom again, you may wish to contact them in the first instances, or Mrs. Edwards. If you're unable to contact a member of staff, please call the main reception and the message will be passed on to the various members of staff that can deal with that. I've added a few links here so that if you ever are in need of a way to go on our website, we have the safeguarding, we have all kinds of policies, right down to webinars, and you can even have a look at WhatsApp. A few things parents need to know about safeguarding and the importance thereof. So, how do students report a worry or a concern? So, at Morden, students can obviously speak to teachers that they trust. And once they inform the teacher, we have a system at school that we call on call. And that's when an adult is called to the room and they then can talk to the student and take it further. Obviously, we can talk to Mrs. Edwards. You can also report anything online via the SHARP system. So if you go onto our website, you will see the SHARP system, and you just click on the SHARP system, and then you can report things right there. Students can also place a note in a worry box. We have boxes all around the school, student reception, at the SRC or the library, where you can just post a worry and people will deal with that. At the next stage, obviously, students are spoken to by a member of staff. Parents will be contacted unless there is a risk that the information the parent will place the child into further danger. Obviously, then children social care will be advised, will advise us, but we speak to the student then, we look at the problems, and we, at stage 3, then support the child, and support is put in place with parental consent. Now, early help, how can I get support maybe as a student? And I can tell you, early help means providing support as soon as a problem emerges, at any point in a child's life. So at Harris, we recognize that prevention is way better than cure. And we really, really want to make sure that we help and support the students as early as possible and see if we can put things in place to help them. The next slide, I don't want you to be alarmed about the next 3 slides. There are so much information on the next 3 slides. And I know you later on might be, when we post this on the website, you will have a look through all these things. But our in-house support to students and families go from EPSA in interventions, career advisors, we do food parcels, free school meals, we do hardship funds, many risk assessments, we do some Lego-based therapies, we do mediation, we look at part-time timetables, we have music therapy, we hand out medical cards to students, safe spaces in school, we have safety plans, we do some welfare visits, there's teams around children or the family meetings. These are all part of some of the things that we do to help with the safeguarding and the well-being of our students. In the SRC, which is our student referral center, we have individual support plans for students, pastoral support plans. We have one-to-one friendship groups, conflict mediation. We have interventions and support for anti-bullying ambassadors, self-esteem workshops, strengthening mind management programs, We have Football Beyond Borders intervention. So I can tell you that there are a number of interventions in place for students who feel a little bit anxious, who are a little bit worried, who have a few problems. For all of these things, we have things in place to help and support our students. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard of things like Catch-22. We have counsellors, Wave 6 cluster groups, Free to Be, Glasshouse projects, Jigsaw for You. There are so many organizations and help and support. We've got off-the-record counseling, we got school nurse, we got social worker in school projects. So once you look through all these things at your own leisure and time, you will see that there is help and support in terms of safeguarding and making students feel that they are listened to and they are supported. Obviously, at a next level, we are looking at social care for targeted students. Here we look at things like contextual safeguarding, child sex exploitation, criminal exploitation, youth violence, serious youth violence. We look at special educational needs and disabilities. At this point, we have a look at psychologists coming in. There are so many things that we as a school put in place, consultations with CAMS, and we run all these organizations and programs just for our students. And because it is important that we find the best help and support for our students, and I know that there is not a something that is a magic wand that suddenly everything is fixed. And it takes time, and it will take a lot of resilience and a lot of patience to put things in place to care for our students. And obviously, our highest level is our level 4, where we look at students where they get a child protection plan. And during this child protection plan, our DSL will attend all meetings with all these students and all the professionals around the table to help and support all these students. There are multiple agencies involved, usually once a student gets onto a child protection plan. What we also do at school in terms of safeguarding for our students is we got a SHARP system. If you want to report something, you want to speak up, please use the SHARP system. It's online and it's very easy. E-safety is also very important because, as you know, computers and technology are becoming more and more everyday important devices for the students. Now, online safety. It's one of these modern day worries. It's also amazing what technology can do, but obviously, like everything else, we need to put things in place to make sure that we keep our children safe. So at the bottom it says the program monitors online and offline material. So what we have at school is we have a monitoring system. We monitor students' use of the internet by using filters and a monitoring system called Securus. Now, Securus provides a safe environment to learn and work by protecting pupils and staff from harmful and inappropriate content online. And the reason why that is that Frankie Thomas in 2018 was a 15-year-old student who used a school laptop and an iPad for 2 hours reading stories about suicide. The problem is the school had a filtering system, but it didn't work, and it hadn't been working for some time. And they did not pick up that she was searching for things like suicide, and sadly, she died. So that's why this is so important, that school has a system where words that are harmful are picked up, or if students search certain words, that it's immediately flagged up, and then we can have a look at that. Just to let you know that obviously there are lots of other help out there, Childline, Off the Records, Kooth, the Samaritans, Young Minds, and we are sharing all these organizations with you as a parent and with the students throughout their schooling, so that they know who to call and who to ask for help. Here are BAPRAs are helping young people with suicide or thoughts of it. We have Family Lives who can help with aspects of parenting. Beat, helping with eating disorders. We have The Mind, information about health and support people from the different communities. And I can recommend all of these organizations and support to all of you. Please, part of safeguarding, this is so important and will help you throughout the 5 years. Part of our prevent also in our safeguarding is prevent is what we call against terrorism, radicalization, and these strategies is a duty that have been placed on educational, health, all kinds of authorities, police and criminal justice agencies, to prevent the risk of people becoming terrorists or supporting terrorism. In that second paragraph, I want to tell you, this is also prevention to help protect people from a range of other things like substance abuses, involvement in gangs, physical and sexual exploitations. And this runs alongside all of that. But prevent is also to ensure that people who are susceptible to radicalization are supported, and they would be under safeguarding processes. And we can support them in helping them with their decisions and who they talk to. And it's also important, right at the bottom, stop people from becoming terrorists or supporting terrorists. And it's very important that as a school, we prepare students for all kinds of dangers that might be out there or that they are susceptible to. And we make sure that they understand the pros and the cons of all their decisions that they make. When I think of prevent also, one of the things we talk about in school is British values. And these are values is not about where you were born, your religion or your background. It's also not about being British. It's about having a core set of shared values. We all live our lives to safeguard us and live happily free lives. And that is why we promote our British values in school. We have individual liberty, mutual respect, tolerance, rules of law, and obviously democracy. And all these things is part of our duty to make sure that we prevent all kinds of nasty things happening to our sons and our daughters. I'd like also to tell or inform parents just about searching, screening, and confiscation. When we search and screen things, 2 members of staff will always be present when we have due course to search a student on site. I can also assure parents, we would never ask a student to remove other items of clothing. In that paragraph I told you, I've showed you there, we can ask people to take off their school jacket, to check the linings in the pockets, turn out the trouser pockets, and their shoes, and that's that. And obviously, we always will ask the permission of the student, and they can even turn it out themselves also. And I can assure you that that's as far as we will go. If we are contacted by a police officer to speak to a child, we would always seek consent from the parent first, so that the parent knows that there's someone in the corner, or a parent can come in themselves and find out what this is all about. A member of the child protection team would accompany the child as an advocate to that meeting at all times. And parents will be informed if anyone is being searched or if anyone needs to be spoken to by the police. I can assure you that we are very, very vigilant with this as a school. Post-pandemic, obviously, has brought a few things to the forefront, and the hangovers and current safeguarding themes. I'd just like to bring two things to mind. There's some emotional healthy schools, and two other things are enabling students' voice to influence decisions, where the student's voice is important. And that's why we have student councils at school, and where the students can voice if they need changes and what things they can influence and what they need. And so we are committed to listening to our students, and that enable them to have an influence. And at the bottom, the leadership and management that supports and champions efforts to promote emotional health and well-being. And you all know that post-pandemic emotional health being is one of those buzzwords that has become an absolute important word for all of us to deal with. And the mental health and emotional health being is one of those things that we as a school take very serious. Our vision is for all students to be self-managers of their own well-being, having developed the tools and strategies to be able to look after their own mental health. At the same time, we ensure all members of our academy are aware that there are always people available to support them should they need additional help. I'm hoping that at the end of my presentation now, that you've had a lot of information about attendance, emotionally based school avoidance, and our child protection, and how important it is to the school. But the most important thing is that communication between parents, between students, and the school. And I would invite you to please make an effort to talk to the school, to get into contact with the school if there are anything that you are worried about or your child is worried about. I thank you very much for the time spent with us during this presentation, and I wish you all the best. Have a good evening.